Hello and welcome everybody to today's masterclass. My name is James Campbell. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Integrity Marketing Solutions. And joining me today is Amy Bloom. She is from Homesteaders Financial Group and is the head of business development for the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. I think it's sort of the missing piece for a lot of estate planners and estate planning law firms, and that is trust funding. And we're going to dive in more fully into what I call phase one of trust funding, which is what we call the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan. And Amy's going to tell us a little bit about that today as we get started. But Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself so folks know who we're dealing with today.
Oh, sure. And first of all, thanks, James, for having me. I appreciate that. So I've been with the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan for a little over a year now. My background is I've got 37 years in the insurance industry. So I do have a pretty lengthy background. But what intrigued me about the BLP, as we call it, is that as soon as I learned more about the product, I thought this is the one piece that's been missing. So I was excited to join the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan and have been very successful in getting advisors and estate attorneys to learn a little bit more about it, right, and present that to their clients.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I'm really excited for today's training. Let's go ahead and jump in. Guys, so some of our objectives for today is number one, just outline some of the challenges that estate planning and elder law attorneys face when it comes to trust funding. And we're also going to explore some of the opportunities that estate planning and elder law attorneys have when it comes to trust funding and making sure that they take advantage of every opportunity that they have, especially with their clients, and making sure that they're protected. And we're also going to learn how IMS, Integrity Marketing, and Wisepath Financial Group, partnered with Homesteaders, is bringing this opportunity to estate planning attorneys, which has really always been held in the hands of the financial advisor. And the attorney really is in a unique position to bring this plan into place and have it make sense for their client as it relates to their estate plan. So we're going to talk about this in more detail as the training goes on. But guys, why does trust funding matter? Why is this such an important topic, and why are we bringing it up so early in the beginning of the year of 2025? Guys, the big thing is when it comes to creating a trust, we want to avoid probate. That's like our key goal when it comes to creating a trust for somebody. When we're creating that revocable living trust, the idea, one of the big selling points is, hey, we're going to keep you out of probate. But the problem is that 50% of the trusts that are created go unfunded and ultimately wind up in probate. Now, I'm not saying 50% of your trusts go to probate, but 50% of the trusts go to probate. So just be aware that even though you're handing out that instruction letter and your clients seem like they're adults and they're successful people and very smart and they can handle retitling assets and getting that trust fully funded, they're not doing it, or they're making mistakes along the way. Guys, in trusts without liquidity plans, and most of you have never heard of the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan. I understand this is a unique product. This is the only place that this product is sold, so I'm sure you haven't heard of it before. But trust without a liquidity plan, guys, it can cause significant financial burden and erosion of the estate. And not beyond that, just family fractures, bad things can happen when somebody passes away and the beneficiaries don't have access to funds because they're tied up in probate, or the insurance company is holding on, or they don't have a death certificate. All of these things can cause a big gap, and that's what we're going to focus today. That's why trust funding is so important. But why do attorneys avoid trust funding to begin with? And I've been with Integrity Marketing for over 20 years now, guys. Gosh, the gray hair and receding hairline tells the story. But one thing I've seen is that most of the clients that I have, when it comes to funding, they don't do it. They avoid it. They don't have the manpower. They don't know how to charge for it appropriately to make it a money maker for them. It's a lot of hassle, and they feel like their clients should be able to do it. So it's difficult to determine appropriate fees. It can be a complex process where we're having to find assets and retitle them, and that can bog down an estate planning practice that's really geared up to create estate plans and do them well and get them done. There's also the ethical concerns, because sometimes funding that trust means that there's going to be an insurance product that's needed for funding. And the attorneys a lot of times are not licensed or don't want to get into that realm of things. And so they avoid the recommendations. They avoid learning about how those products could help their clients. And they kind of stick to what they know, which is drafting great documents. There's also the awkward reciprocity issue with local advisors, kind of a tit for tat thing. And we know it's more difficult for you as the estate planning attorney to send business to the advisor. That it's more of like a one-way street. Most of the time it's a one-way street where the advisor is giving you the referrals, and for you to send it back, it's just more difficult to do. So that's a missed opportunity for revenue because we're not part of that game as estate planning attorneys. It's also uncertain the profitability from the service. So if you decided to add this, how much money could you make? How many people would you have to hire to service that? And in that process, can you even be profitable? And that's where a lot of attorneys say, nah, I really can't. That's really not something that I want to add to my practice. And so they just don't. But guys, this has a big impact on your clients. Because as we saw, 50% of the trusts that get created don't get funded properly. So obviously clients struggle to get their trusts properly funded, and especially without any sort of guidance. And this puts the trust at risk of being ineffective and leading to probate. And do you really want your trust, who you promised your clients wouldn't go through probate, and now they kind of wind up in probate anyway? Is that good for the firm? I don't think so. And guys, the big issue, the one we're going to really dive in deep today, and the reason why I brought Amy into this process and have worked this relationship with Wisepath to bring this opportunity to you guys, is this gap between death and funding for the beneficiaries. It's a big issue. It's a bigger issue than I realized until I started diving into this. And I think the more that you become educated as the estate planning attorney on how detrimental this gap can be, the more you'll see the benefits of this beneficiary liquidity plan. Because what happens is it creates a lack of capital for the beneficiaries because they have to pay for funeral expenses, they may have to pay for attorney's fees, they may have to pay a mortgage or utilities or cleaning fees. All of the stuff comes out of pocket. And what if those payments can't be made by the beneficiary if they don't have the funds? And a lot of this is predicated on waiting for a death certificate. Because even if the trust is perfectly funded, nothing's going to happen until they have that death certificate. Amy, is there anything else you want to add on to this impact of clients?
Yeah, and from a personal experience, I recently lost my brother, and waiting on that death certificate, I live in Wisconsin, and it took approximately 3.5 weeks. But to a family that's grieving, that feels like 3.5 years. So this product definitely is a game changer in the estate planning. We actually call it the last piece of the estate plan because clients have a gap. We all know there's that gap from the time that they pass away until the ability to obtain the death certificate, and then also file, right, for the annuities or bank accounts or life insurance or whatever it may be. And so we're talking typically around 45, 60, 90, 120 days before clients' beneficiaries can even access the money. And absolutely right, James, in that we're starting to see estates erode because the family doesn't have the money to pay for those expenses. So yeah, extremely important piece in the estate planning process today.
Yeah, it has a very big impact on clients, and I don't feel like enough estate attorneys are taking that into consideration when they're creating the estate plan or having that conversation. So there's a big missed opportunity, big opportunity missed that can help you ensure that your clients' trusts meet their goal of avoiding probate, that their legacy is actually protected, and that their financial intentions, the inheritance that they wanted to go to their kids, actually makes it there without being a burden. And it provides immediate access to funds. And Amy's going to get into why the immediacy of it in this plan is so much different than just having that trust be funded and distributed when it's executed. So there's a big opportunity here for folks. And there's also an opportunity for the attorney. And this is one of the pieces that I'm really excited about and really proud that I was able to find the relationship, find the pieces build it over time and have it really structured in a way that's going to benefit not just my clients, but estate planning attorneys in general and the country at large, in my belief. I think estate planning is so important, but there's never really been an opportunity for the attorney to earn any money, to make it any income, the sort of with them, the what's in it for me. And I understand that that's going to be important in how much time you're going to dedicate towards talking to your folks, your clients, about this issue. And so what I wanted to do, what we have set up here, is the opportunity for you to have immediate revenue potential. And this is acquired in the form of new billable hours, okay, without additional work from you, without hiring anybody, without paying for additional marketing or anything like that, or having to join some organization, okay? It allows you to build a stronger relationship with your clients, not just with the client themselves, but their beneficiaries, being able to bring something amazing to them and sort of be the spearhead in communicating that value, okay, with that beneficiary. It also has expanded opportunities for you to build relationship with that beneficiary and that next generation. So to kind of create that client tree and the roots that grow up. And we know how important those client referrals are to the estate planning practice. So a new revenue opportunity and also a way for you to get a deeper relationship with your clients. That's what this beneficiary liquidity plan is going to bring to your law firm. So a lot of times we talk about, well, how do we make revenue off of this? And how do we make sure that this is tracked properly and we're making sure all these pieces fall in place? I like the idea of making this referral, but how do I make this part of my advisory team? Well, that's where IMS comes in. So Wisepath and Financial and Homesteaders kind of joining forces together to help you market this service, okay? And also to recognize that if your clients do need help, again, of the funding process, the BLP is phase one, is essentially part of the estate plan, okay? It sort of covers the gap. If your clients need help retitling assets, getting all of that, getting the right insurance plan, planning for long-term care and what may come with that, and all of the products that go along with that, guys, Wisepath can help you with this as well. They're not your standard advisory firm. Most advisory firms, financial advisory firms, they're focused on getting you to the top of the mountain, the peak of retirement, where you have the most amount of assets. And that's their goal. It's this journey from wherever you're at to retirement. How do you get to this point to where you have enough money? That's what most of your local financial advisors, that's what they do. They're working on that trend. What Wisepath does is say, fine, do all that. We want to make sure you get from the top of the mountain back down to the bottom safely. So they're certified long-term care specialists. So they have the CLTC designation. And so they're specialists. They're more like the brain surgeon, okay? You would make the referral to, if somebody has a brain tumor and you're the general practitioner, right? You're going to send them to the brain surgeon, okay? Even if you're a financial advisor. Even if you have a great financial advisor core, even if they already have a great relationship with somebody that's amazing and helped them save up a bunch of money and earn a bunch of money in the market, even if they have that person, they still need Wisepath. They still need that help with the specialists of finishing well, okay? That's where they come in. So not only do they have that service to offer you as phase two for helping with getting that trust properly funded and retitled, but we can help you with the BLP. And that's where today's focus really is. So, Amy, you want to give us a little bit of information about the BLP and what makes it so unique?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, James. As far as providing immediate access to funds, we talked about the death certificate, and the death certificate is really what is holding up a lot of the beneficiaries being able to gain access to assets. We have started seeing, we talk about estate erosion, right? And we've seen that happen, right? Where the family, we had a very wealthy mom and dad. They had two homes, high valued homes, both had mortgages on them. They both passed away, and the kids had no way to pay those mortgages and ended up losing both of those properties. The estate planning attorney got sued because they didn't provide that funding mechanism. The kids essentially lost a good part of their inheritance in the estate there. By immediate liquidity, how do we differ from a standard life contract? The way we do that is Homesteaders Life is a 118-year-old life insurance company. They pay out over 67,000 claims a year without a death certificate. Homesteaders Life main product is pre-need. With pre-need, they have a relationship with just about every funeral home or crematory in the country. With that being said, the claims process is simply the funeral home director signing an attestation that the client has passed, and then we release funds. Within 24 to 48 hours, we're paying the funeral home for whatever services they rendered, and then we're also paying the balance plus cash value to the beneficiary. And typically those funds are going to be received within 24 to 48 hours. How we build that relationship with the beneficiaries, as James mentioned, that's an extremely important part, not only, number one, to help retain your clients, but also to build your client base. You want to reach out to those beneficiaries, and we simply do that by sending a copy of the policy to the beneficiaries so that they know it exists, so we can process that claim as quickly as possible in the event that a client passes. That's your opportunity to then also reach out to the beneficiaries and say, hey, by the way, is there anything I can help you with? Do you need any type of estate planning or whatnot? So potentially an option there for you to gain client base as well. And then we just talked about, right, foreclosures, repossessions, or forced asset sales. You know, when my brother passed, we had to liquidate some assets. He was only 59. So he had to liquidate his assets. The problem with that is he was a collector car guy. Collector cars are not an easy asset to get rid of. So this product allows the family not to have to face that. Any foreclosures, repossessions on vehicle loans that maybe they can't afford to pay, or fire sale, so to speak, right? Getting rid of assets in order to gain money to pay those final expenses, and not just funeral or memorial expenses, but also ongoing family expenses, as James had mentioned. You know, we talk about maybe there's a mortgage, maybe there's car loans. Definitely probably have to hire an attorney or work with the estate attorney or the trust, right? And all those things. And we forget about those family expenses and ongoing expenses that can become part of that estate plan.
Yeah, great. I love this product. I think it's amazing and really does cover those bases. Let's go to the next slide here. So how Wisepath or how Amy with Homesteaders actually can assist your clients. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the process of how do you identify who needs a BLP, and really it's anybody with a trust, okay? But how do you determine how that trust gets, or how that fund actually gets funded, how that BLP gets funded? Amy, will you talk a little bit about the process of how, of what information sort of you're looking for to help your clients, and how the attorney would be able to make that referral?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm partnering with Wisepath. If you have any meetings scheduled with clients, they can either meet with me directly. The benefit to that is this is all I do. This is all I do is a beneficiary liquidity plan. So I know the product inside and out. I can address any questions or any objections that might come up from your clients. Really, we kind of customize it around to what your client's needs are, right? If you have a high value client, we can write a BLP up to $135,000 per person. It is a tax deferred product, and it also has a 3.35% cash value rate that is also tax deferred. The benefit is paid out because it is a life insurance contract. The benefits are paid out tax deferred. So that's an advantage, just not simply in being able to access money quickly upon the death of a client, but also the tax advantages around that as well. So the one thing about the product is it's the only product on the market that I'm aware of that can fill that gap that your client has. So you truly have an offering that your competitors are not going to have. This is a product very unique. We've only been in existence for about 5 years. So a lot of estate planning attorneys and even financial planners aren't even aware that this product is available. Unfortunately, like we talked about, we all know there's a gap there, but we've never been able to fill that gap until now. In my opinion, I think every client needs a BLP, or at least to have that conversation, because they don't understand that there's a problem. And unfortunately, they never will, because they'll be passed and their family will be the one dealing with it. But it will truly be one of the most rewarding products that you can offer to a client, because if you can get money in their hands within 24 to 48 hours, there's not that added burden on top of the grief that they're already feeling from the loss of their family member. And not only that, the biggest advantage, even though you're helping your client, you're increasing your revenue, which is extremely important, right? Today, we're all trying to find ways that we can, squeeze that extra income right into our businesses. And this is a great product to be able to do that with.
Yeah, we're going to get into that, Amy. I love that you brought that up, because not only do we want to enhance your image and be able to offer a service that nobody else in your market is offering. Again, we're going to talk about this as market exclusive as it comes to the marketing and getting this all set up. But yeah, to increase your firm's revenue and to increase your average sale. So we're going to talk about how you get paid, and I'm not going to say the C word, okay? So here's some of the benefits of the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan, just to kind of recap. It offers a quick, easy access to funds for beneficiaries. It addresses the liquidity challenge and delays in distribution. It fosters the trust and relationship with the next generation. So those beneficiaries you get in contact with and let them know, hey, you're going to get some money. If somebody passes away, you're going to get it quickly. Just reach out to us and we'll make sure that happens. The BLP is an exclusive product by Wisepath and homesteaders. It ensures that the estate remains intact by providing immediate funds for the final expenses. So that's kind of the benefits for the clients. But what about for the attorneys? We're going to get into that. But first, I want to go through and show you this video that we're going to provide to you. For those that qualify, we're going to get into how you get set up to be able to offer this product. But part of what goes into this is the BLP video. So marketing this service and giving it away for your clients to understand the importance of the BLP. Let's go ahead and give this a watch.
You love your family, and your goal has always been to leave this world without leaving them with a financial burden. Maybe you created an estate plan or purchased a final expenses policy, while both are popular options. There's just one problem. Your beneficiaries won't receive the money to fund your final farewell until at least a few weeks after you're gone. Why? Because it takes from 2 to 6 weeks to receive the death certificate that must be submitted to start any benefit process, and then it can take months to receive funds from policies such as life insurance and annuities. So who will have to pay your final expenses out of pocket? How will your loved ones cover their travel costs or the reception when family and friends gather to honor your life? Sadly, these questions often lead to the kind of financial chaos that causes disagreements and family fractures that may never heal. But you have the power to prevent that. With a simple beneficiary liquidity plan, you can secure a benefit that's paid within just 24 to 48 hours of your passing. Think of it as a bridge that supports your family's immediate needs until your estate can be settled properly and fully as you intended. How does it work? You simply allocate a small portion of your assets into your beneficiary liquidity plan. No need to come up with additional funds. Your BLP is structured like a tax-deferred, tax-free CD at the bank. So you receive interest on your money and your asset continues to grow. And best of all, everyone up to age 90 qualifies for this solution. Everyone. To begin the process, our advisory team will help you fill out the simple application. There are no health questions, so everyone qualifies. As promised, when your final day dawns, your BLP becomes liquid immediately upon being signed by a licensed funeral director. Your beneficiaries receive their funds within 24 to 48 hours. No waiting anxiously for your death certificate before your loved ones can plan your service or pay for any expenses incurred during this time of sorrow. You have taken action to alleviate troublesome issues that families don't even know they'll face until it's too late. To recap, a beneficiary liquidity plan does what other instruments can't. A living trust may express your wishes, but nothing can happen without a death certificate. That power of attorney you think will empower someone to address these issues dies with you. Your joint account assets freeze until a death certificate is presented. Your family will need your guidance even after you're gone. Putting your beneficiary liquidity plan in place shows them that you have thought of everything and everyone. It ensures that the legacy you leave behind is one of composure and compassion. Talk with our dedicated team to learn more about how a beneficiary liquidity plan will let you care for your loved ones when they need you most.
Okay, I think that video is really great explaining how the BLP works and how important it is to have that in place. We have this timeline, which sort of comes from this comes from your all's website that shows the timeline of how that beneficiary liquidity plan takes place. You want to just walk us through this real quick so people have just a clear grasp of the timing?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the problems that we see is the way that death certificates are issued or applied for today is pretty much online. After COVID, the government kind of shifted. They had to, right? They weren't allowing people in their offices because of COVID and had to develop online systems to be able to process death certificates. And that process never really went away. There are some, don't get me wrong, there are some counties that will allow you to come in and order one. However, when you look, especially across states, there's a lot of things with those online systems that are creating some backlogs. One example, Cook County, Chicago, Illinois, the Cook County clerk died unexpectedly. The Cook County clerk was the only one legally able to sign death certificates, marriage certificates, and birth certificates. They were not able to issue death certificates for a number of weeks, and they actually had to change the legislation in order to get that accomplished. And now they've got a backlog. It's taking 3, 4, 5 months to get a death certificate in Chicago. We've had cyber attacks and breaches. So that's just from a data standpoint. And then we've also had situations where if there's an autopsy required, that's going to delay a death certificate by a week or two. If they're outside of a region, right? Maybe they're on a cruise ship in international waters, or maybe they're out of the country. That's going to delay a death certificate another 2 to 4 weeks on top of the standard timelines. So in some states, we're seeing that it takes 3, 4, even up to 6 months in order to obtain a death certificate. Now, keep in mind, that's just obtaining the death certificate. Once you get it, then you have to file a claim, right, against an annuity or take it to the bank or get the domiciliary letters that you need in order to close out those accounts. And that's adding another 30 days or longer on top of that. So that's why the need for the BLP, and that's why Phil Graham, our creator, founded the product, because he saw that as being a major problem. And as this product begins to get introduced and clients are learning about it, they're getting wiser to the fact that it's really something that they need. And that's where I think you as estate attorneys really have a leg up on your competitors, because nobody else has this product. Wisepath and IMS and BLP have all partnered together to bring this opportunity to you, because we see the necessity for it and definitely believe that it's a product that every one of your clients should consider.
Great. I love that. And just guys, for you to get clear on the timeline and think about, as those weeks or months drag on, what are the expenses that are incurred? What kind of drain does that put on the family? And what's that do to the legacy of the client at large? Okay, so let's talk about the benefits for you. How can the attorney, the estate attorney, make money on a financial product? Well, it's very simple. The revenue opportunity is for you to not earn a commission, but to earn billable hours, okay? And your billable hours just happen to be scaled to the size of the BLP, okay? So if somebody were to fund a BLP with, let's say, $20,000, you would have the BLP would be created and funded, and then you'd be able to review that document with your client, okay? And for that service of reviewing the document with your client, you'll get paid $400 an hour. And depending on how much money was put into that BLP will determine how many hours it takes you to review that document. Is that a fair assessment of how that works, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's scalable based on the size of the BLP. The minimum is $2,500. And as I mentioned, the maximum is $100,000 or $135,000, and that is per person. So if you have a couple, we could potentially defer up to a 270,000 in that household to put into the tax deferred product and provide the instant liquidity at the same time.
Yeah, so for those of you that are creating revocable living trusts for your millionaire next door, and let's say that they have a couple $1 million in $1 million in the house and $1 million in their retirement account. In order to fund this, they're not going to write a check out of their checking account to fund this BLP. They're going to simply move some money from their 401k to their savings account and then over to fund the BLP. So that money is still being inherited. It's still part of the overall estate plan. It's just now, instead of getting an outright distribution of that $1 million, the beneficiaries will follow the plan of the trust for distribution, except for a small percentage of it that they will receive outright upon death within 24 to 48 hours. Okay? All the legal, ethical boundaries are maintained. Wisepath and BLP and IMS have worked through all of that, so that all we have to do is get you set up. You do have to qualify. We'll talk about that here in a bit, about how you qualify for that and who gets what market and all of that. So we have all of that determined. But you have a real opportunity here to improve your client satisfaction, improve retention. And guys, my thing is, as a marketer, my number one job has always been to generate more revenue for my clients. And by and large, that comes in the form of, hey, we need more leads. We need more estate planning clients. That's the majority of what the marketing is, but that's not all of growth. Growth can come from increasing your average sale. So if you had 100 clients and you can add an additional $1,200 to each case because they added a BLP and got it funded, guys, you can add $120,000 to your revenue with the exact same number of clients that you had before. So just think about ways that we're looking at ways to expand the growth, to expand the revenue, to expand the offering, to expand the service. Guys, we're going to stretch a little bit. So what I'm looking for are people that see the value in this and can recognize the opportunity to just have that extra conversation. Okay? So we have the BLP. Thank you so much, Amy, for all of your time today. The BLP is extremely important, guys. But how do we promote it and sell it? And this is where IMS comes in. So with IMS, we're going to provide all of the marketing campaigns. That video that you saw, we customized that to brand for your firm to sell the beneficiary liquidity plans. We'll provide the email content, the campaigns, the drip campaigns. So it's not just the new clients that you have coming in, but let's talk to your past clients as well, because guess what? They have a funding gap too. Okay? Guys, we'll set up all of the tracking to make sure that you're able to get paid and that you're able to get the referrals back and know how much that was. So we have all of that set up on the back end. But we also provide the sales scripts. Guys, financial advisors, if you didn't know, are some of the best trained salespeople in the world. And together, when we have my genius of estate planning sales and bringing the total sales mastery, but then also all of the script development from BLP, from Wisepath, that they use to have their advisors help sell services like this. We're bringing that knowledge to you as well. So you'll have the sales scripts, the questionnaires, all of the tools that you need to get this off without a hitch. Now let's talk about how you get started. So we're going to put in the chat the booking link it's probably already in there, to go ahead and book your discovery call to discover whether you qualify. And so there are some requirements, and we'll go through those. You'll fill that out in the form to see if you qualify. And obviously, if we accept the meeting, then you answered correctly and you qualify. So we'll have that conversation. We'll review the disclosures, the engagement agreement, the technology and tracking requirements that are needed to pull this off. And guys, we'll make sure that your client meetings and your sales are that you have the prep work, the ability to kind of prep the client for why they need the BLP and roughly how much they want to have in there and fund it and kind of where they would pull those funds from. You'll be able to figure that out. And then you hand it off to Amy. Amy's now part of your advisory team, okay? And she'll handle the sale of that and make sure that all the I's get dotted and the T's get crossed for that BLP to get funded. And then once that is funded, it's sent to you to review with the client and your check would arrive, okay? That's sort of how that works. So all the marketing is provided by IMS. We'll help you get all that set up. It is geographically exclusive. So only so many people in so many states, and depending on the size of the city that you're in, we'll make those determinations. So if you're interested in this, and I think all of you should be, I mean, I could tell by the registration links that came through, registrations that came through, that this is a hot topic. People are concerned about this gap. If you want to fill that gap, book this call. Let's get you all set up. Let's make this a revenue generating machine for you. Guys, if you don't click the link, if you want to go online right here, it's imsrocks.com/apply-BLP. Okay. And we'll talk about getting this integrated into your law firm. Amy, any closing thoughts you wanted to leave with today?
Just one thing real quick, James, is we talk about it as a sale, and it's not really a sale. Sometimes when we hear the term sale, especially if that's not our forte, we get a little scared of that and skittish of it. It's not a sale. All we're doing is taking part of their non-liquid assets, right? An annuity, a 401k, a pension, a money market account, CD account, whatever it may be, and we're just reallocating those funds from that non-liquid vehicle into the BLP, where it gives them access to that money within 24 to 48 hours. So that's my job. Let me take care of that. I've got that background and I can help out with that. Your partnership with IMS, Wisepath, and myself, we have your client's best interests at heart. We're going to take good care of your clients and you as well. So I look forward to working with you all.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Amy. I think all of us really appreciate the opportunity and the hard work that the team has put together to bring this to the estate planning community, and specifically to my IMS clients. I'm going to stick around for the Q&A, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this video off, and I'll be here for the Q&A. Amy, if you can stick around, that's great. If you have stuff to do, that's fine as well. But thank you for your time, guys, and we'll just jump into the Q&A. Thanks, Amy.